And we will get started. So,
Oh,
joining me this evening is a record breaker for my little podcast, In a Strength Check. Nick Holmes of esteemed Gothic Doomsters Paradise Lost. Congratulations, you're actually a record holder. This is the latest I've done an interview, midnight one, and it feels very appropriate for the theme. So,
right.
over to you,
Okay.
mate. How are things going?
All right. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, so
Okay. Yep.
I'm getting ready for my early evening nap. So
Oh no, he's
yeah,
playing into the old Nick. He's playing into the old Nick stereotype off the bat.
yeah. I
Yeah.
do, man. You're right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I just had another listen to Ascension, and it's turning out to be a good one. How's your
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on the response to the releases from the album so far from the public, like the feedback that you've gotten?
Really great. Yeah. Yeah. It's been really positive. Yeah. Yeah. Very happy with it. Looking forward to playing the songs live and seeing how they go down in that environment. But yeah, I haven't seen anything negative actually. It's all been very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very, very, very promising. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, awesome. And what's the overall vibe within the Paradise Lost camp at the moment? Like, it's the general kind of temperature at the band at the moment. You guys gearing up for touring? What's the sort of general feel of things?
Well, we've been working touring since April the 20th. And we've only just stopped. So we've had about, I think, 4 days, sort of 5 days off now. So we've got a little bit of breathing space before we start doing the promotion for the album, the
Mm,
in-store promotion, and then we started the tour in October. So, but yeah, we've been kind of full on since April. So we're kind of having a bit of enjoying a bit of R&R, as it were. So, but yeah,
mm,
yeah, then we'll be all guns blazing, I guess, in October when we start the tour.
mm. And on that note, when we think about it too, this is your 17th album, over a 35-year period as a band, or 35 plus, I think. Um,
Yeah, I think it's 37,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So, with this being your 17th album, and you going through kind of your having a bit of an R&R at the moment, and then you're like going back into the touring cycle, what sort of keeps it? I'm curious as to what keeps it fresh for you guys, because that's a long time for any band, even if you're pulling a different genre out of the hat with every album, you know. What's kind of kept it fresh for you guys this long?
Um, I don't know. I mean, we started obviously as we started as kids and we're kind of fanatical about the music we were writing. So
Mm,
I think if you're going to do anything, you need to be very passionate about it in the first place. If you're going to go
yeah.
in kind of half-assed, then it's destined to fail at some point.
Yeah.
So we were kind of all guns blazing from the start. So I mean, and then we kind of got management, and then it became our career, as it were. And we've kind of just to keep that maintain that career, we've had to work as hard as we can at it, and we do because we don't want to do anything else. So it's just
Yeah.
you just got to you've got to give it everything you've got, you know. And
Mm.
but I mean, we obviously we enjoy. I mean, we still love writing music. It's always a challenge. We still don't think we've written our best album. Every album is the best it can be at that time. It's only down to fans and our own hindsight if we decide if it's as good as the one before it or a previous album, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It goes fast, you know. I mean, once you start doing a touring cycle and then you record again, before you know it, it's 4 or 5 years. You know, it's.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the first few years when you start a band, you kind of release albums kind of one after another because you're not really doing a great deal of touring at first. It's when you pick up a bit of steam, a bit of an audience, and then you kind of do
Mm.
longer tours, and then if it's a very successful album, you do even longer. So it's. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's gone incredibly fast. Life just goes fast anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
since we had kids, it's just gone in a heartbeat. It's kind of scary and fast. In fact, how fast it goes. But
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, since I think since we like 4 years old, it's just like Jesus Christ, where's it going? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. And in terms of being on kind of the latest ride with Ascension, have you guys been previewing tracks off that live as well in your recent run of shows, or are you saving that for the upcoming dates? How's
We're
that?
70 for the tour. Yeah, we're 70 for the
Mm,
tour. I mean, we toyed, but we need to kind of sound check stuff, and you don't get sound checks a lot of time festivals. You
yeah,
kind of just kind of on there, and you've got to hope for the best. And at
yeah.
least with our old stuff, we've probably played it about 1,000 times, so we kind of. But yeah, we want to be able to kind of do it, and also, we don't want people to kind of hear it the first time through a S25 Ultra. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to hear
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
all its glory.
yeah. You don't want the production to be tarnished secondhand by backline issues or anything like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, we have toyed with that idea for sure. So, but yeah, we want to be able to kind of do on our own terms before we actually kind of do any festivals with this stuff. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I
Mm.
mean, I'm sure it'll be fine by then. So.
Mm. And in terms of the production, it's interesting because I saw that you guys had kind of a split where Gregor had done some of the production himself, but you and you'd actually headed over to, well, some of the mastering of the
No,
album
it was
done in
it was
Sweden.
yeah, it was engineered and mixed by Lawrence McCrory.
Mm.
And I mean, production is one of those things. I mean, it's about generally production's about the song arrangements and songwriting and where you put the chorus and but we haven't kind of worked like that for years. We don't really need
Mm.
that aspect because we know exactly what we want to do and we know exactly where everything's going to go.
Mm. Mm.
We've written enough songs now to kind of hopefully zoom in on our home in on our craft and not necessarily need someone from an outside to come in and say, why did you put another chorus there? We probably already know that. So,
Mm.
so I guess, and I mean, again, with sounds as well, I mean, Greg knows what he wants to hear. He knows what guitar sound he wants. It's all, like I said, he knows what the drum sound he wants to hear. And so it's all about that as well. But I mean, as far as engineering and the mix, Lawrence McCory's beat was great because he's actually an accomplished musician himself. He's a great singer, great vocalist. So, I mean,
Mm.
it was great to kind of do the tracking with him
Yeah.
for sure, and he did quite a lot of the backing singing as well. Actually, I got him to do some backing as well,
Oh,
so
nice.
he was great for that. But yeah, no, it came out really well, But like I said, a producer in the sense of what we might have done like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it's not really required at this stage in the game. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. How did you find that process of working with a vocalist on the engineering side of things? Is that something that's come up often for you in the past, or
No,
is that kind of new
oh well,
experience?
I worked with him on the. I first worked with him on the Bloodbath album, the last Bloodbath album. Lawrence, he kind of did the mix on that as
Oh
well,
yeah.
and that's how I got to know. But I mean, I was aware that he was a very good vocalist. Anyway, it's great actually. It's good. It's good to. I mean, I do my vocals how I do them. It's not like he's trying to change me into Pavarotti or anything. You know what I mean? It's just a case of
Yeah, yeah.
he kind of knows what you're kind of trying to do, or maybe more than perhaps if you only play guitar, maybe you won't pick it up as much. Or it's like me kind of not getting nuances with guitar work, perhaps. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Mm.
guess there's maybe something in that as well. So
Absolutely. And in terms of the I think Ascension's going to be an interesting one for people because I feel like if people were to sort of take stock of the album purely off of the album art, which is gorgeous, and the song titles and maybe some of the lyrics dipping in and out, which is probably a good reason to not sample a little bit until it's kind of good and ready. I feel like people might take a bit of this has a bit of a religious theme to it, but I mean you've been quoted and it's pretty clear from the lyrics on the album that it's more of an existential album lyrically, if I'm kind of on the
I mean,
money there.
the whole thing with me is that my whole thing is you just never know what's around the corner, and there's no certainty in life
Yeah.
whatsoever, and that is terrifying in itself.
Mm.
So it's more about that aspect of I always think like kind of the history repeating itself when people kind of don't learn from mistakes and they do the same thing again and so it comes back again with the same result. So it's more about the ebbs and flows of life really, and
Mm.
religion is obviously a big part of what people turn to if they're scared of
Yeah.
death or whatever, so they turn to that. But the fact that people believe in that something that's fascinating in itself to me. I
Mm.
find that fascinating. So it's not the kind of typical, heavy metal, antichrist, fuck God, and all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you want to believe something and it enhances your life, it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, then that's fine. I got no problem with that. But I mean,
Mm.
kind of manipulating people, promising like fake ideals and ideologies, etc. I'm kind of to me, that's a kind of pretty naff, for the want
Yeah.
of a better word.
Yeah.
So
Well enough, innit? Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I do think that that's a pretty constant kind of byline lyrically for you through Paradise Lost is, I think it could be easy for people to construe as, oh, it that they're trying to do a strong anti-religious theme, but I feel like especially on this album too, it's more around exactly what you're saying. It's like death and finality and people trying to come to terms with that. And yeah, sometimes that may involve some bad faith actors and some other kinds
Well,
of
it's
goings on.
I mean, how people die. I mean, I've recently had a death in my family very recently, and it's how people they deal with it. There's nothing that prepares you for it, and it's
Mm,
such a weird thing. And everybody's different with it as well. Everyone deals with it differently. There's
mm,
no, because there's often someone they say, oh, well, he should be acting like this, he should be acting like that. I said, well, no, there's no way that people act how they act. It doesn't mean to say they're not bothered because they're maybe very chatty or something. You know what I mean? It's kind of
yeah,
a how people behave to certain extreme scenarios. I always find it fascinating. Human nature is really fascinating. So yeah, I mean, I think I said some on the first album, and someone said, "Oh, you're anti-religious, typical metal," and I was, no, no, it's not really that cut
yeah.
and dry, really. But
Mm,
anything that's kind of organized for a negative, I mean, the song "Deceivers." I mean, years and years ago, we wrote a song called "Elusive Cure,"
mm,
and the kind of topic of the lyric topic is kind of very similar. It's basically about kind of false prophets, really.
mm,
And all those years ago, the song when I wrote "Elusive Cure" was a very similar concept. And I actually started writing this one. Then I realized as I was kind of halfway through, I thought, oh my God, this is very similar to "Elusive Cure," which I wrote when
mm,
I was probably like 23 or something. And I'm
mm,
54 now. So it's kind
mm.
of, I'm obviously in the same way of thinking, I guess.
Do you find yourself kind of getting stuck? Because you've got a lot of material. I imagine without just kind of randomly throwing in, oh, I'm going to sing about banana republics or something now. Do you find you kind of at times with the lyrics, do you ever find yourself going, man, what stones haven't I unturned sort of thing? Or
The hardest thing for me with lyrics is I don't need to read anything, and I don't need it to make sense. I just want it to
mm,
sound nice, and like it can be very poetic, and I can really appreciate the poetry
yeah,
behind it, or something that makes me think, oh, this just sounds nice, and I kind of conjure up an idea in my head. I mean, I'm really happy with that, but a lot of the
mm,
time with metal lyrics, they have to be very kind of meat and veg.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, well, this is about this is about that, and I don't really think like that, and I would always
yeah,
lean towards the kind of more poetic element, just purely because I prefer to read that kind of thing. But
yeah,
then you kind of give soundbite descriptions of what the song's about, and then you find yourself describing descriptions, which
mm,
is kind of so. The artistic license element in songs is vast in our songs, and I just basically like words that sound how they sound at certain parts in certain songs,
mm,
and I've changed lyrics just because I just like it. The word sounds better than that word, even though it
mm,
may not be grammatically correct.
mm,
So
mm.
it's just for me, it's about how the words sound. And I kind of come back to the lyrics again and again and again. I mean, I could write a song and I'll come back to it 100 times. I'll keep tweaking it, changing words, because I just read it back to myself again and again and again. But I quite a long time. I wrote all the lyrics for this album at the end of the writing process, which I've
Yeah.
never done that before, and
Okay.
it kind of made it a lot harder to write them. But
Right.
I think the
Right.
lyrics are better as a result.
Okay.
Um, but it was kind of weird. It was strange writing like that because I usually do bits and pieces as I go along.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just sit back and think, okay, what's this song say to me? And so I wrote it, but it was harder to work like that. But I do think the lyrics are better. But it
Mm.
was, yeah. But like you said, I mean, it's if you think I'm going to write about this or this, you kind of all of a sudden you kind of feel like I'm getting on a soapbox about something. I don't like having to have an opinion in lyrics either. I think
Yeah.
that's left for something else completely. That's
Mm.
left for the pub. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
want to write lyrics with
Yep.
some opinion.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, my approach to it is very, I would say, more from a hopefully a poetic element.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice when you've written something and I can read it back and think, yeah, I quite like how that sounds. But there's not always a massive dark meaning. Not always. They don't have to be.
Mm. Mm. And on that note, so this is the you mentioned this is the first kind of time that you've actually taken a completely new tack in terms of going, I'm just going to wait until the recordings are actually
Yeah,
finished.
yeah.
Did you find that it was like challenging to work like within confines rather than being, as you said, like part way through the process, throwing it in here and there?
Well, I knew I had quite a long time to write it.
Yeah,
If I knew I had quite a lot, if I didn't have that time, if I knew I didn't have that time, then because we had already kind of allocated recording time, which was X amount of
gotcha.
months.
Yeah.
So I knew I would have time. But even then, when it was approaching, I thought, oh fuck, I should have done more.
Mm,
But I managed to get through it. But yeah, a lot of the time, it's you might finish an album, then you record 3 months later, and there isn't time to start from scratch. So I don't use a lot of the time, don't have that luxury. But yeah, it was sort of interesting to do it like that. But I don't know if I'd repeat it necessarily. I mean, sometimes I write down an idea of, and I mean, if I can, I come with the title. If I can come up with a title, I usually can work around that as well. But even then, I
mm,
don't always like to be restricted to just having to be built around that title as well. I mean, and
mm,
this, it's sort of there's some kind of art form here where nothing has to be. It should be like
mm,
a blank canvas. There shouldn't. I don't
mm,
think there should be any rules with it. But I guess with
mm.
certain genres of music, there's certain rules that are expected to be kept, maybe
Oh
to a
yeah.
degree.
By the internet police maybe, but I mean, yeah, that's the beauty of being an artist and a creative is you follow your own muse.
Yeah, yeah,
And in terms of how the album is sounding, I guess another observation from me too is that it feels very not that any of your material is unfocused, but there's almost like a sort of an efficiency to the songwriting, I feel like it feels a lot traditional metal focused, like the riff work and that sort of thing. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, nothing's done by accident. Everything here is completely everything's on purpose, for
mm,
sure. I mean, because we've had a lot of time to write it. So we've had a lot of time to, like I said, similar to the lyrics as well. We've had because we kind of started writing before COVID. Then we had the 2 years where everyone was just sat around in their pajamas, and
yeah,
then we had 3 years. So we had 5 years since the last album. So we've had more time to focus on this one. So and we've had a couple of songs bashing about before COVID started, but then we kind of decided to change tack a bit and go a bit heavier again, which I'm
mm,
glad we did. Um,
mm,
but so yeah, so we've had time to sort of come back to the song again and then see what about tweaking this, what about moving this here, what about this or that and the other. And I guess that ties into the production side of it as well because we've had a lot of time to pre-production with it as well. I guess where we can
yeah.
really zoom in on anything that we need to kind of tweak on it.
I would imagine pre-COVID to now, that's kind of probably one of the longest stints you guys have had to formulate an album, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's kind of around every 3 years because if you
yeah,
include the kind of, I mean, writing an album, it's kind of 8 or 9 months, and then maybe a year, and then it's, but then we tour for maybe 2.5, 3 years, 2 years or whatever the case may be. I mean, it depends how long we spend in America, I guess, because you can kind of tour forever in America.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
we've never kind of stayed out there for that long. Well, not for a
Mm.
very long time. So I guess it's or how many European tours you keep doing, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, 3 years is kind of a round period it has been usually.
Because you guys are known for a pretty like a pretty hefty touring schedule. You know, a lot of bands that have been around the traps as long as yourselves, they might be a bit more sporadic with their touring, but you guys are still quite consistent this far in. And imagine the answer is pretty self-evident and it's around that drive you were talking about before, but must also be like tough at times to keep up that touring schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're touring with like a tour bus, it's kind of easier because you can actually get some rest because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously more often than not, you probably stay up drinking on the bus, which
Yeah.
everyone does that. But
Yeah.
after the initial week, everyone kind of gets okay. Well, I can't keep doing this, so then
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
starts going to bed.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, when on a tour bus, it's kind of easier to maintain a kind of more of a routine. And but I mean, when you're doing flying shows and the festivals, and you're getting up really early for flights, and you're playing late, and you're getting up really early, I mean, after a while, that kind of kills you, I guess. I
yeah,
mean, the last kind of couple of months we've been working. We did South America, then a little bit of America, then we started straight into the European festivals. But some of the schedules have been absolutely crazy, particularly the last. few weeks have been berserk, to be honest. But I mean, I just kind of tell my friends, and they're like, "Oh, boo-hoo, fucking go and try working in the mill or whatever."
Yeah.
It's all right, off.
Go down the
But
pub, go down to the pub, have a pint, mate, cry about it there, that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I guess, and I would say this is kind of a staple with most guys in bands at our age. The flying gigs they can be a
Yeah.
killer, and that's not even about staying up drinking all night. That's just kind of getting
That's
like
yeah. It's
ten
its
minutes,
own kind of
10 minutes
hangover, isn't
sleep.
it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's all good. It's all good.
Mm.
Because I'm not moaning about it. I'm just being given information.
Well, it's funny on that note, like you know, you if I think if people were to sort of read up on Paradise Lost, say, right, and look through the history, have a bit of a breeze through, listen to some of the music, they might think, oh wow, that's like that's a bit moribund, that's a bit, kind of, oh, that's a bit depressive, etc. But I mean, you yourself, even your demeanor and the way you're talking about the album and like you guys in interviews in general, like there's an excitedness about it. And I think that's an interesting thing with Paradise Lost is like people can maybe look at the band and say, oh, that's very depressive music, that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's that aesthetic, but I don't know, something I'm just noticing even from our conversation, and I've noticed other interviews and shows and stuff, like you guys, um, it might seem paradoxical to the average person, but you guys seem like happy. You know what I mean? Writing,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've always loved miserable music. But I mean,
yeah,
we can have we can have as much of it. I mean, I find that the bands that are kind of project a happy image, they're far more miserable in real
yeah,
life than the bands that are kind of you think are going to be miserable bastards. You know what I mean? I mean, I've met many bands that I was really expecting them to be absolutely scary, miserable, but
yeah,
they've been absolutely quite the opposite. But I
yeah.
mean, I guess it's just about, we love the music, we take the music seriously, and we love
Mm,
writing, we love really dark, miserable music. We like to write music like that, but that's kind of like our tonic.
yeah,
But the kind of, if we were in a band where we had to go on stage and pretend to be having fun, and that would be depressing, I think.
yeah, yeah,
That forced fun thing you
yeah,
see with some bands, it's like, oh my God, no. So
yeah.
yeah.
So do you feel like it's fitting into like just being comfortable with that, like almost like that emotional honesty of those darker themes, that kind of thing? Ironically, it's probably what's keeping you guys happy because you've got this sort of outlet, and you're able to, you don't have to mask, you don't have to jump up and there and be all KC in the Sunshine Band. You can just get up and be like,
Yeah.
all right, it's doom
Yeah,
time,
I mean,
guys.
yeah, I mean, I think now as well. I mean, you with the internet, anything you do or say is out there. And if you're trying to have
Mm,
this mysterious thing, which was great. I mean, when I was a kid growing up with bands, they were mysterious because
yeah.
you didn't know much about them, and that added to the whole thing. And we always we missed that. We kind of went,
Mm,
oh, but then when you kind of seeing guys doing their shopping or walking the dog or whatever in the park, it's like, oh, it kind of kills the mystery. But I mean,
mm,
now with the internet, you just gotta fucking just be yourself. I mean, you can't be anything else. I mean, there's
yeah.
no point. But and I think, but it is ultimately about the music. Where does that take you? Does that take you where you want to go in your head? And if it does, then it's a success. You know what I mean? So I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, it sounds good. Like and the new album's sounding really great. One of the perks of my otherwise unpaid quote unquote job as a podcaster. Really
So,
enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the response from it. I think for one thing, I always like to throw this kind of little last question in before it's a nice little tie the knot question, but for yourself, Nick, what would you say for, say, maybe some young up and coming bands? Because essentially in your sphere too, in the modern metal scene, the sort of the gothic doom subgenre, it's not as kind of prominent, and maybe that might, I guess, lead some younger folks who are wanting to actually, get their goth on and do something similar, but might feel a bit sort of dissuaded or discouraged by that. What kinds of Would you have any advice to any kind of younger folks looking to sort of tread down a similar musical path to yourselves?
I think of anything, if you got passionate, if you're passionately into something, whether it's whether it's kind of wildly popular or not popular, it doesn't really matter because
Mm,
you just gotta, if you've got to have some passion for something, or if you're trying to jump on bandwagons, the band won't last long probably, and if you're trying to be this band or so, I mean, when you start a band, you kind of emulate your idols. I mean, everyone does that when you start a band. We used to do it, but then eventually, hopefully, you can find your own path,
yeah.
and you can still hear the influences, of course, but there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Mm,
But I just think if you just got to have kind of passion, and you got to work hard at it. But I mean, it was for us, it was never about what was popular because the bands we liked, no one even knew them. I mean, when we started out, death metal was nothing when we started out. It
mm,
became, and doom metal again became, it was very few people were into it. So, but it struck a chord with us in a big way, and we kind of carried on that path. So I guess it's just about just having passion for whatever it is, and don't worry about what X or Y band are doing. Just follow your own path, and you got to work hard at it. You got to work hard. You got to gig. You got to get out there and get some gigs.
yep.
That's the biggest thing, I guess. You got to get out there and you know get some drive and do it.
Yep.
Whatever it may be, whatever you're into.
Even if you're playing doom metal, you got to get a bit of that Henry Rollins Black Flag ethos behind you as well.
Yeah, down there. No,
Get in
that's
the
a
band.
good.
Yeah. One day you'll have a tour
Exactly.
bus.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So
Well,
yeah, you just gotta. Yeah.
looking forward to the I'm already predicting a good reception to release the new album because it's a solid one.
So, man, thank
And
you. Glad you
of
like it.
course, yeah, no, it's fantastic. And hopefully we will see you on our shores, either see you again in a bloodied suit screaming your head off with Bloodbath, or doing a bit of a mix in a nicer tux outfit, etc. with Paradise. But be good to
Yeah.
see
No. Yeah. I'd like to. Yeah. I mean, I love coming to Australia. It's great. Yeah. We don't get down there enough, but yeah, it would be fantastic if we can get down there sometime in the next year or so. Hopefully, we'll see.
All right,
For sure.
awesome. Look forward to it. Thank you very much, Nick. You go enjoy your afternoon.
Cheers, buddy. All the best. Good night.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate.
See you later. Bye. Bye.
See
Bye.
ya.
Don't call me a mindless philosopher, R2, you overweight blob of grease. As for the rest of you, don't miss Ascension, the latest album from our UK Gothic Doom overlords Paradise Lost. Be sure to check out the show notes at innerstrengthcheckpodcast.com for additional info. Get your goth on.